My name is Nathan and I'm a 31-year-old robotics software engineer. I worked at a private aerospace research facility in Colorado, where I helped design guidance systems for autonomous drones used in atmospheric data collection. It was exciting work, high-tech and cutting-edge. The kind of thing that made people feel like we were on the verge of something incredible, maybe even saving the world. One morning, while testing a prototype drone inside a sealed flight chamber, something went wrong. We had just activated the new AI flight system when a pressure surge hit the hydrogen fuel cell. There was a loud bang, then blinding light. I didn't even have time to run. The next thing I knew, my body felt like it had been torn from the inside out, and everything went completely silent. I thought I was dead, but I didn't feel pain anymore. Instead, I was floating, weightless, above the wreckage. I could see my body, burned, still, lifeless on the floor. People were running in, alarms were blaring, and chaos had taken over the lab. But I wasn't scared. It was like I had been pulled out of the noise and fear and placed into a quiet, weightless place. Then I felt a presence. Not something I could see, but someone I knew had always been watching. I was pulled into a brightness far more powerful than the explosion I had just lived through. And standing there, in that light, was a figure I somehow knew right away. It was Jesus. His eyes weren't just looking at me, they were reading everything in me. My whole life played out before him. My doubts, my pride in my work, my constant pushing to achieve more without ever thinking of who gave me the gift of life in the first place. I wanted to speak, but I couldn't. Not from fear, but from awe. He knew me better than I knew myself. And though I was ashamed, I also felt something I had never truly experienced before, pure love that wasn't based on what I had done or failed to do. He didn't come to punish me. He came to show me something that would change my life forever. Jesus didn't speak with words at first. Instead, he showed me things, realities behind the world I had lived in but never truly understood. We moved, not by steps but by thought, and suddenly I was looking at Earth from far above. The planet was beautiful, spinning quietly in space, but as we drew closer, I began to see things beneath the surface. Hidden layers like spiritual shadows over cities and nations. I saw leaders in secret meetings discussing future space missions. Not for exploration or the good of humanity but for something darker. I saw underground bunkers, hidden spaceports, and private colonies being prepared not for science but for escape. These powerful people were not alone. Beside them were beings I didn't recognize, not human, not machines. They looked ancient and cold, filled with intelligence but empty of love. Jesus revealed to me that these were fallen beings, rebellious spirits who once served in heaven but turned away. He showed me how these entities had been guiding some of humanity's greatest achievements, not to honor God but to break away from him. The goal was simple: build a new world beyond his reach. They had chosen Mars as their target. Jesus showed me how this planet, once alive and full of promise, had been destroyed long ago by rebellion, just like the one being planned again. He said, "They are not running from danger. They are running from judgment." These words didn't come from his mouth, yet I heard them deeply in my spirit. The mission to colonize Mars wasn't just about survival. It was about trying to build a future without God. A place where they could rule without his laws. A kingdom of their own without his light. And then I saw something terrifying. A red sky over Mars, cities in ruin, machines scattered like bones. The same rebellion had already played out there once, and it had failed. But the same dark minds wanted to try again. Jesus turned to me and I knew he wasn't showing me this to scare me. He was warning me. And he wanted me to see how real this spiritual war was. Not just in space but in our hearts and lives every day. After the visions of Mars and the secret plans of powerful people, Jesus led me into what felt like a great spiritual chamber. In that place, time didn't exist the way it does on Earth. And suddenly I began to hear voices, soft at first like whispers in the wind. Then they became clearer. Prayers. Hundreds of them. Some were loud, desperate cries. Others were quiet and full of hope. But one voice among them stood out to me because I recognized it. It was my mother. I hadn't seen her in years. We had grown apart, especially after I left church at 19 and threw myself into science. I stopped calling. I thought her faith was weak and outdated. But now I heard her words, her prayers, spoken in tears every night as she mentioned my name. She wasn't asking for wealth or success. She had been praying for my soul. Jesus let me see how those prayers became like a shield around me. There were moments in my life, times I should have died, times I should have made choices that would have broken me completely, but her prayers had stood in the gap. I realized now that her prayers were not powerless words sent into the sky. They were real, powerful, and seen by God. But it wasn't just her. I saw people I had barely noticed. An old friend from university who once invited me to a Bible study, a woman from the cafeteria at work who always smiled and told me, "God bless you." These people had prayed for me in secret. I had brushed it off at the time, but now I saw their prayers as glowing threads in the dark, guiding me back to truth. Jesus told me, again not with a voice but through a deep knowing, no one stands alone. Every soul is touched by someone's prayer. I wept, not from sadness but from a mix of sorrow and gratitude. I had lived my life thinking I was self-made. But now I understood that I had been carried, covered, and protected in ways I never imagined. Then he showed me something else. He showed me a line I had nearly crossed more than once. Moments when I came close to fully giving myself over to pride, ambition, and deception. If I had crossed that line, I wouldn't be standing here now. But those prayers had held me back. They had given me one more chance to see the truth. After the chamber of prayers, Jesus took me farther, beyond anything I had ever imagined. What I saw next shook me in a way no explosion or accident ever could. I was shown a vast, endless land. On one side was peace, so deep and full that even the air seemed to sing with joy. I saw people walking freely, faces filled with light, children laughing, elders renewed, everyone at peace. There was no fear there, no hunger, no pain. I knew it wasn't a dream, it was heaven. A place more real than earth ever felt. But then, my attention was turned to the other side. I saw a chasm, wide, black, and roaring like a great furnace. And from that place came cries, not just of pain but of regret. I saw souls who once lived just like me, people who thought they had time, who thought being good was enough, who ignored the small warnings, who silenced the quiet voice calling them back to God. Some of them were scientists, some were leaders, some were even churchgoers. But their hearts had chosen their own ways. They had lived for themselves, not for the one who made them. And there, in that place, I saw twisted cities, dark reflections of the very same ones being planned on Mars. I knew instantly what it meant. The same rebellion that brought judgment to Mars, the same rebellion happening on Earth now, would end in that same spiritual ruin if people did not wake up. Jesus showed me that the technology, the knowledge, the great plans of men, without truth, without love, without Him, would always lead back to destruction. Mars wasn't the future. It was the past trying to repeat itself. And Earth was following that same path because people refused to listen. I asked Him in my heart, "Why show me all this?" And the answer came gently, "Because you still have time. And others do too." Then I saw a scroll unrolling in the sky. On it were names, thousands of them. Some were glowing. Others were fading. I understood then, there is still time to choose but not forever. The vision faded like the closing of a curtain, and I suddenly felt a pull, a sharp, weighty tug. It was as if the brightness around me was growing smaller and I was being drawn back toward the broken world I had left behind. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay with Jesus. But His eyes looked at me with purpose and I knew He was sending me back. "You have seen. Now speak." That was the final message I heard before everything went dark again. I woke up in a hospital room, my body aching, covered in bandages. The explosion had nearly taken my life. I had been unconscious for 2 full days. The doctor said it was a miracle I survived. But I knew it wasn't just medicine. I had been sent back. At first, I didn't know how to talk about what happened. My job was science. My friends were engineers and physicists. But slowly, something inside me burned too strongly to ignore. I had seen the truth. And truth demands to be shared. Friend, if you're reading or hearing this, I want you to know something very important. We are not just physical bodies walking around for a few short years. We are souls. And there's a real war for those souls happening right now. It's not always loud. It's quiet, disguised in our choices, our distractions, our pride. But it's there. This isn't about being afraid of science or space or technology. It's about understanding that without God, even our greatest knowledge becomes a tool for destruction. Without His truth guiding us, we will always try to build towers that reach the heavens, only to have them crumble under the weight of our rebellion. We must stop trying to escape this world and start preparing our hearts for the one to come. Don't wait for something dramatic to happen to wake you up. Don't wait until you're on the edge of death to realize how much God loves you. He's calling you now, today, in the middle of your ordinary life. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to come back to Him. Read His Word. Not just as a book but as a letter written to your soul. Pray, not just when you're in trouble but because it's how you stay connected to the one who made you. Love people, especially the ones who are hard to love. You may be the only Jesus they ever see. And take your journey with God seriously. He is not far away. He is near, closer than your breath, waiting for you to return, to trust Him, and to walk with Him. He gave me a second chance. And I believe with all my heart that He is offering the same to you right now. Please don't waste it.